let's see if we get this to work right. Because I know I've set it up. Let me see if I can get it to work right. Come on. There we are. Are you talking?
Hey, hello, TV.
Oh, you're gonna bum rush the show with a folk song.
Oh, I was thinking about doing that, but I haven't got my mic set up, so I won't do that. I was just playing, and then the calling thing happened. So,
Cool.
But one day I'd love to do that.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna pull one of them fucking Billy Bragg maneuvers and just show up at the protest like it's yours and just start going, politics, oh politics, it's what makes the socialists tick.
I don't even want to talk about that guy or his fans, man.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, those people.
I'm just saying.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Anton?
Yeah.
Well, have you ever been creating a piece of art had such a violent reaction to your creation of it that you've actually been sick or something like that?
You were cutting out, but did you say something along the lines of like, have you ever like had such a violent reaction to something you've created that you've become sick?
Yeah. The process, I guess. I don't mean in like a drug or alcohol kind of way, but just emotionally, I guess.
Sure. Yep.
Yes.
I tend to work myself up into a healthy lather when I'm in the process of creating.
Yeah.
This
a lot of bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. Irish Spring. The
Yeah.
They didn't have those commercials in the UK because it would have been in bad taste, I guess. In America, they have a soap called Irish Spring, and the guy's always whistling in the shower.
That ain't too cool, man.
But during the Troubles, that would have been in bad taste. In the UK, they would be like, "We're not buying that shit for no way."
Oh wow, the Troubles, man. That's what I need to think about, man.
Well,
there's a book you should find out about. It's called Project Nemesis.
Okay.
About what happens in Northern Ireland. That's pretty out there, man.
Well, they're expecting way mad crazy shit. I've heard on BBC from a lot of people. They're like, in the actual Republic, right, in the South, they're saying like Irish people, they don't have like a traditional leftist organization. The most leftist that they get, the Republicans and everybody, is the unions, the trade unions, and the trade unions are hand in hand with the government. And they were saying like, so protesting isn't the big forte of the Irish. They're into insurrection and the other stuff, for a lot of different reasons. But they're saying, look out, because here it comes. Like nobody's ever seen it before.
In what respect?
Mobilization against the debt austerity things. Like in the middle of the night last night, the government passed this crazy new round of austerity worldwide, like for all these countries in the EU, because they're really trying to hash out these credit ratings. They're trying to like do everything they can to avoid these downgrades that are coming up. Like for instance, in Portugal, they looted the state pension funds absolutely to make this payment. They took all the money for everybody's thing and just like said, no, take this too, but don't downgrade us. We can't afford, you know what I mean? They're like, okay. Because there's a full on crazy shit going down.
It's like the earth beneath our feet is falling, isn't it? Like from underneath.
Well,
and it's going.
Just be informed.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but my head was already full of stuff already, man. Now all this is happening. It's like, it's too much, like I'm just one boy.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that, like all those things on both sides of the fence, whether you're a Tory bastard or whether, you're in the security apparatus or whatever, or you're on the street looking the opposite direction. Yeah. I'm hoping that there's two things that I don't want to see. And one of them is this reactionary throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like saying we've lost a whole generation in the UK or Europe or what people everywhere, like these fucking the riots the disturbances this past year, or when you just say like fuck this capitalism thing has betrayed us and the laws and all this other stuff. I want to see that people looking across the aisle or the barricades or whatever continue, at least some people that can speak up now and then during these times, that they don't lose track of that they're talking to a person, whether it's the person in a uniform that somebody's tossing a Molotov at or whatever, and vice versa, the police like shooting bullets at people. I'm hoping that you're going to hear some of this voice floating around in the different issues, right? That doesn't get lost in the din. That's
Right.
my, because a lot of this shit is really complex, and a lot of these problems that we're looking at, whether it's the EU's finance treaties and all this other stuff, or the international relations thing, none of these problems started in a day, and they can't necessarily be fixed in a day. Do you know what I mean? Stands to
I, I, I
reason.
I know
Stands.
exactly what you mean, man. I
Okay.
know exactly.
So that's
In
all. That's
another
all I
way.
hope. That's what I hope the UK like always, because there's, like when we were listening to Cameron talk, like when he first got back from his holiday, all those guys were on holiday when the shit hit the fan in over the summer, right?
Right.
When he first got back, like it went from have you hugged a hoodie, you know, to
Oh,
encourage your kid not to go out and riot, to like this is sheer criminality and these fucking yobs and shit. And I'm not going to tell them how to do their job, and they're looking into it. But it took Boris had to break rank and file to where he was the first guy in that whole crew of that class that just said, "Man, there's a lot of reasons for this, man, and we're going to address them and look at them all one at a time." And that's
that's that's true.
whoever told him to say that was like, I'm just saying, whoever told him to say that was right on, to a
Yeah,
certain respect,
absolutely, absolutely. It's a
because that's the
shame
only
that.
thing you can say in the heat of the moment, I think. But
Yeah,
you also got to say, fuck this. We're not putting up with any of this fucking shit burning down fucking people's buildings and all this crap that's going on.
no, I agree with that as well. I don't. It's not a civil way to conduct yourself, is it? But
And then
yeah,
also the other thing is like the tradition in the UK about the long-standing tradition. I'm not talking about the Welsh miners' strikes and the other troubles that they had, like the poll tax rights and all that shit. But it's a totally different animal in Northern Ireland. But the other part of it, they've avoided some of the other kind of policing tactics that you see all over in Greece and everywhere else, where it's busting heads time, and Germany, how they get so rough. They don't take any shit, man.
yeah.
And now it's the whole world's going towards this militarized police thing, and I just hope that those people remember that when they're turning some of this shit loose on people, that that they are people, man. Because you see, nobody's like
But the
the
thing
kind
is,
of
though, too,
results, like the 99% or whatever, the kind of results, like if you look at the manifesto that they're demanding, man. If you just go right down that, it's what they're asking for is nothing less than a complete destruction of the status quo. So I mean, that's a
yeah.
big, tall fucking order
But
to
man,
go. Yeah,
I
we.
gotta tell you, do you remember last week when we were the night when we were talking? I was telling you about like the kind of the way things are
Mhm.
amongst the populace in the UK. Man, we're already turning against each other. It's
No
already
shit.
happens.
Well,
It's
that's
already
always been
happened.
that way. That's always been that way. There's that amount of
Yeah,
tribalism,
I know there's always been that one-upmanship kind of like class kind of thing,
class.
but
Yeah,
like this is something else, man.
I know, but there are people even like I'm not going to get into the facts about what BBC World Services and the reason why the British government pays for that voice to be international, because that's self-evident to anybody that understands what's going on. So
Yeah,
you could say it's a mouthpiece of propaganda, and you can also say there's some other things. But I listen to some of the dialogues going on about the tough talk when people bring up about some of these issues about within a certain educated intellectual class, like some of the discussions they'll have occasionally on BBC Four on the radio service worldwide, and you know there's a lot of people that really are saying exactly what I'm saying right now within the establishment, saying, because it looks like we're headed one way or another towards this new form of thing that's not quite communism, it's something else. Like when they ultimately reform a lot of shit. Like it's not democracy. They're going to be like appointed people. Like you're going to vote for very small things. But that's the way the EU's headed, and you know, they're not going to leave everything up to whimsy. It's like they're not going to just fucking outlaw the city of London and say, well, the stock market's gone because these people took advantage of this derivatives trading and all that shit and crashed the world economy. So, you know what I mean? It's like this hybrid thing that they're talking about. So then there's some voices that need to interject within the more radical element. See, because some people would misunderstand me and think that like I'm such a radical because I'm honest. You know.
Yeah, actually, what I find that an awful lot. We talked about that as well the other day.
Yeah.
I'm just an artist, man. I'm just giving you a view, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the problem with, you know, when you're trying to explain to these kids that are pissed at the police or whatever they're doing, or they're just fucking wilding, you know, they just love that the thing of it, or they're part of a gang, or it could be a lot of different things. You know what I mean? They're fronting and trying to be like the Caribbean type guy, gangster mode. It could be a lot of different issues, right? And they come from an estate. They have no, multi-generational dysfunction. Well, yeah, there's just a lot of different things, right?
I know these days talking about like on my road, you know.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is like it's really hard to reach a lot of these people, like.
Yeah, because they've had their right to a good, useful education taken away from them a long time ago, and that's happening across the board now.
Well, the factory education, man, it's Pavlovian. It's just like fucking ring a bell, man. Ring those bells loud. You know what I mean?
It's enough to make someone very, very angry, isn't it? You know, like thinking about it in terms of your family and stuff like that. I mean, I honestly.
But I mean, there's.
We said before about wanting to tell people about too much about the things that you feel that you know. I mean, sometimes I think that might not be this one.
But you got people going fuck, you know, because of the tax money involved. You got people going fuck the crown. I mean, there's voices going on. There's the Scottish independence. There's all kinds of stuff just like bubbling up everywhere, and you're going to see the craziest draconian reaction. Like if the rank and file of the Scottish separatists feel like they've really been sold down the river or something, you know what I mean? You're going to see like a lot of unrest, and I think
stuff like in my books. Yeah.
What I'm saying is like, what I want to see is like a little bit of this the not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, like, you know what I mean?
I know, but that kind of stuff, if we can do it to each other on like a day level, then man oh man, people are going to be able to attach themselves like that.
Well, it's not up to me, you know, what the Scottish do or what the people of England do about the monarchy or any of this stuff, right? And I would never even suggest that to have an opinion about it, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is like that's always like this back and forth reactionary thing. You see, like we're going to see the craziest stuff happen in our time with the markets crashing and the abuse of the financial system. You know, anti-Semitism is right there. Every single video you look up. You know, it goes right down the line. 1 minute you're talking about the Rothschilds, then it's a Zionist conspiracy, and then it's the Jews, and then you're like right back in this crazy thing, and it just goes on and on. There's the you read the Daily Mail or whatever in America, they're like the anti-immigration laws and all this different stuff. You know, like it's all the nationalism and all this shit. It all goes hand in hand in troubled times, and it just turns just like that. And that's what we got to watch out for. It doesn't matter if the totalitarianism is coming from the street, an outsider, or from the top down. We got to look out for this shit because it just happens so quick. It isn't like the good people here in this country, in Germany where I'm at. Like a lot of people were just trying to get by on their farms and do all kinds of stuff. They didn't have any contact with like inner city populations of Jewish people or anybody, you know what I mean, in Germany. There are people just like fucking just like in the middle of nowhere that all of a sudden it's like this is what the government's doing. And this shit happens. I'm not going into like all Nazi Germany and all that stuff. I'm just saying this kind of situations around the world happen just like in the blink of an eye.
Well, I remember, Anton, when I went to like a church. I went to a Church of England primary school. So that's like we used to do hymns every day. We used to sing songs and stuff like that. You know, like the Alice in Chains by the Beatles, that kind of jazz. And like, I remember when I got to like year 5, I think it was, and my head teacher got in lots of trouble, and they went to kick him out because he was altering the grades on the SAT scores. And what that meant was that he would have made us get more money from the government by putting the scores up, you know, because it was just so politically correct.
Sure.
And that year, he ended up getting fired, and they stopped religious education.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Absolute mind blowing. I've been up all night, man, talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
When I talk about a lot of the stuff that involves different countries or areas in the world, it's not like I'm getting down on any particular one government.
No, man, not at all. Not at all. We all know that.
Cool. Because like I said, I pay all my tax. I have an LTD. See, I own a corporation in the UK. That's where I do my whole worldwide business from.
Really?
Yes.
Ah,
I
cool.
pay all my tax to them.
Yeah, I guess I do.
So, you know, I'm not trying to work. And my wife's Welsh, you know, and if the shit hits the fan here, the first people I'd probably call would be the UK embassy.
Yeah. Just
to keep in touch, because you can't even. The way it is now here in Germany, last year I tried to call. You can't even reach the U.S. one on my passport. The number that they have for here.
Yeah.
There's no way you can even get through. When the shit hits the fan, they close that shit down. They won't even answer if there's an emergency. So
I'm not just that.
So I'm not dissing the UK that hard, really. I'm just saying I'm appealing to people's, you know.
Yeah.
To that voice of reason. Because I read that where the ex-police chief of all the police forces is saying we're expecting mad fucking riots nonstop. Because even, Britain's saying we're not going to go along with these treaties. The shit's hitting the fan with the Euro thing.
Yeah, Great Britain still thinks it's got a leg to stand on, doesn't it?
They're going to tough it out. They said they're going to tough it out, though. See, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk.
Though, right?
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to break it down to like the known hierarchies of how things really go, but it's amazing because a lot of this stuff, you know, it's amazing that anybody on a certain level wouldn't know about the UK's involvement in so much stuff. For a tiny little country boy, they pull a lot of weight. There's a lot involved with this shit.
Yeah, man, there's a lot involved with it.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, I'm not trying to...
There's a lot of spiders in the web, man. A lot of spiders in the web.
But, I mean, they could just go back and look at my show, because when the student riots were kicking off before, like, Pink Floyd's son fucking started to be a dickhead in public, we took a call from the student organizers, you know, right before that.
I saw that, man. I saw that guy.
I know, it doesn't matter, but I told him, hey, that's probably a bad idea to go out, and look what happened.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I called that.
I went to one of the protests, just having a look around. You know, the time when they put the through? I was still probably about 10 foot away from that, yeah? Yeah. Man, we all knew what that meant, right?
Yeah, of course. But I was just like, you know what I mean? I was like, and I explained to him, like, man, this is going to get bad.
Yeah, it's just all this superficial action that people take, and they think that's important. They just don't have a clue, do they?
Well, that's the weird thing, is it's so hard to tell people, like, something.
It is. It's impossible. It's impossible to.
It really is. But you know,
their minds are too limited. That's all I've experienced. I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not calling anyone into like any kind of firing range. But like, that's it, man. I can't explain myself to people because they don't have the capacity to understand what happens.
That's right. But you know, it's a two-way street when you're trying to explain to like people. When I was talking to that guy, that student, turn around and try and tell the Tory leadership that some things that they might say at a certain time are like completely infuriating, that are just like pouring gasoline on a fire. Sometimes.
Sometimes I don't even feel as though you can hold the government accountable anymore. You know what I mean?
No.
the government are the government, but the government kind of just like us, aren't they?
Yeah. Well,
Obviously, you know what I'm saying by that.
I know exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying that, like,
Like,
I'm telling you, the police forces everywhere mean business, man. The U.S. Army's giving all of their old gear, bought shiny new gear, and gave it all to the cops, man. And that ain't to fight fucking Al Qaeda.
no,
Not at all. No. It's not to fight Al Qaeda, man. Nobody from Afghanistan is going to go invade fucking Louisville, Kentucky. I hate to break it to you. That's for everybody else, and it's the same thing. It's like, man, those guys aren't going to Leicester.
Do you know the worst thing is? They're not even going to have to make any excuses, are they? After so long.
Well, what I was reading last night before I went to bed, they expect months and years, the next 3 years, because they know about them. Because check it out, the people in the know have already pulled their money out of the markets. So I want to tell you what's going on.
Okay.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your 401k, but guess what? Everybody's already out of it.
Yeah.
Everybody's already out of the market.
So you keep saying these things then about the great decline that's going to come when the shares drop. So what do you think that's in the physical world? Or did you just predict this from like a statistical standpoint? So I'm just asking you.
Well, see, I read about
things will notice will be, you know.
Well, I already read the documents from the think tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the policies that they are already going to implement.
Okay. Do you think that you can send me a link for that if you've got it? I don't know if it's like.
It's all history now.
Is it? Oh, right. I think so.
I don't want to. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with it. Well,
right.
I mean, I post that shit all the time.
Yeah. The world's moving so quickly anyway.
But I already read the documents how they said they were going to take Libya out. Wasn't no fucking street protest.
Right.
All this shit, the economics about the market, the bubbles, and all this, the Great Coming Depression, and all that shit. I've already read the fucking documents. Like, they're like, well, this is going to happen. By the think tanks doing it. They're like, well, this is how we're going to deal with this, and this is the only way forward. I already read all that shit fucking years ago. It's not even. It's not conspiracy. It's not fucking conspiracy. If you're reading a Rand Corporation document and they say they're gonna fucking take out Libya, Syria, Iran, Iraq, all at once over 5 years. It's not a conspiracy. You don't have to fucking go to a conspiracy site. It's fucking. You know what I mean? Just read a fucking transcript of a speech by fucking these guys at Project from New American Century before they turned into the American Enterprise. Go to the American Enterprise Institute and read their policy stuff. I mean, subscribe like me to the Council of Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
The CFR documents. They'll send you all the fucking documents all the fucking time. They're like, this is what we're going to do. The IMF meeting's coming up. This is what we're going to do. This is the problem with the euro. This is the only solution. Otherwise, look at this. I mean, it's like, then you're like, oh, he's reading conspiracy theories. Well, the news is going to tell you that because they're not trying to cause a panic.
It's all very clever. It's all so clever. I can't bear it how clever it is.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I guess not, man. My mind's all wiped out again. So.
Don't do that. You know?
What, sorry?
Well, I mean, just like.
Yeah,
you do your best and then you rest is kind of the thing. You know what I mean? It's like.
Yeah,
the reason why the euro information that I'm passing you, what's going on, current events, what's being said about it, what potentially could happen, is because it infects you. This isn't fucking a problem between Germany and Greece. This is gonna fucking crash a whole market. That's why Tim Geithner told fucking Bloomberg to say on the news today, the only thing we can do right now, because the market is crashing right now, is that we all stand together with Europe. They didn't say, look at those idiots that can't get along. They're not hearing the message. You can't just hide from this.
No.
You can't fucking hide. So you better know that it's coming. Like Britain said last week. Britain warned all the embassies abroad in the Eurozone that they were looking at 10 days before the crash.
Yeah.
That news came out last week. So what we're looking at is Saturday would be a perfect day because that would stop a run on the banks.
Mm-hmm.
But it may not. They may not happen. They may come to some conclusion. They could be fucking freaking people out. But damn, the reason why you need to know is because it affects you immediately.
Oh yeah, it affected me a long time ago, man.
But I mean, really, it's really going to affect people.
I'm not on the standard. I'm not on the standard level. I don't think when it comes to
This is going to take fucking companies down. Anybody, all those pension funds, everything. It isn't like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Where do you think all the pension funds for all the councils, everybody is like invested in the whole system?
To be honest, I don't know the fine details like you do, Anton, but
Yeah.
I know how it's all constructed. You know, I can feel it, right?
Just be cool and don't get caught up in any fucking
No,
mob.
not me, man. I'll stay well away from all that
Yeah,
kind
and
of
mob
shit.
mentality.
Yeah, I've got too much art to be making, influence people that way, right? Try to.
Yeah.
It's so strange writing all this stuff and knowing that there just isn't really an audience for it anymore.
Oh, but that's okay. There is and there isn't. But there's so many infinite amount of distractions. Something to keep in mind though is like it may not be your job to be this like one of the trumpets of the seven seals, of Revelation, to be blowing some horn and waking people up like your congregation. Maybe that's not your forte, so don't worry about it.
Oh, it's not. I'm not talking like that. It's more like. Well, it's just it's an emotional drive thing because my little brother got put into a hospital.
Yeah.
And it's all like tied up in quite a strange old way. So
yeah,
all that kind of stuff's just all connecting itself slowly, bit by bit. It's unfolding.
Yeah, just be cool.
Yeah, and yourself, man.
Yeah, let's work on music or something.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be really, really cool. Really, really cool.
Okay.
I remember, when they're saying about the job markets and stuff, and all these people that are talking about striking.
Yeah.
I always remembered that like there's all these kids that have been unemployed for so long that they're just going to move in and take the jobs if they were there, right? So I was thinking maybe you should think like that for your band.
Oh, no, like
I'm joking.
People have a right, to air the grievances. But I mean, some of these laws and stuff.
Yeah.
What I was trying to tell people in the chat room, man, is you're not even going to know what boundaries you've crossed. And saying that you didn't know what the law was about it isn't going to be a defense in the eyes of the law. Never is.
Nope.
But
Nope.
you just got to pay attention to what's going on because there'll be little or no warning. But I mean, the last round of protests, they already said that they weren't allowed to protest. It was very interesting how the London occupation thing was able to come about and even pull that off for a minute because they already said you guys aren't allowed to protest. They already passed that law. There's no protesting in London. So they're just being cool with them a little bit. But expect that to wear out real quick everywhere.
It's just there for value, isn't it? Face value. And they can say, we tried for you guys and you didn't do what we wanted you to do, so now it's time.
I think
we're going to get honest.
I think with the union action, with the civil servants and stuff, that was just too big for them to fucking bludgeon, so they just talked it down like it didn't happen. That one was way too big. But I think, people need to keep in mind, playing with fire all around. And fire, man, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if fire loves you or hates you.
You're going to burn.
You're going to burn either way because that's the nature of fire.
Yeah.
All right? Take care, man.
Yeah, I'll see you later, Martin.
Cheers.